Hello and welcome to Valuechain News. I am Naomi Oleribe. First, the headlines. NNPC barters 1.64 trillion naira crude for refined products in 8 months. Ikazo commends NLNG on new cooking gas policy. Uganda moves to ease border gridlock. Now the news in details. Nigeria's crude oil, valued at 1.64 trillion naira, was exchanged for refined premium motor spirit, popularly called petrol, under the direct sale direct purchase arrangement from January to August 2021. The latest data from the Nigeria National Petroleum Company Limited on DSDP cargoes that were swapped for refined petrol shows that a total of 63.46 million barrels of crude oil were used for the scheme during the period under review. The national oil firm said in compliance with the Public Procurement Act 2007 and NNPC's policy and procedures, it had to engage qualified and credible companies in a direct sale of crude oil and direct purchase of petroleum products to ensure sustained product supply across the country. It introduced the scheme in 2016 to ensure adequate petrol imports into the country and has been the sole importer of the commodity for over 4 years, as other marketers have avoided PMS imports because of the current realities in the nation's downstream sector. Latest data on DSDP cargoes indicate that the volumes of crude swapped for petrol in January, February and March 2021 were 5.74 million, 9.39 million and 7.55 million barrels respectively. The data, which were obtained by our correspondent from NNPC last week, showed that the average price and barrel of crude oil and the exchange rates in the 8 different months varied. The crude oil swapped under the DSDP scheme in January, February and March 2021 were valued at 123.6 billion naira, 231.88 billion naira and 184.53 billion naira respectively. In April, May and June, crude oil volumes of 6.34 million, 11.41 million and 8.48 billion barrels valued at 166.35 billion naira, 321 billion naira and 239.26 billion naira respectively were swapped for petrol under the DSDP scheme. Also in July and August, crude oil volumes of 8.56 million barrels and 5.69 million barrels valued at 242.12 billion naira and 156.15 billion naira respectively were swapped by the NNPC for refined petrol. Minister of State for Environment Sharon Ikazo has commended the Nigeria Liquefied Natural Gas (NLNG) Limited for its courageous decision to suspend the exportation of cooking gas while approving 100% domestic supply of the product. Ikazo noted that such a bold initiative was a welcome development and a step in the right direction that will not only bring down the price of the commodity but also bring relief to our forests and ecosystems. The NLNG should be commended for its sensitivity and responsiveness to the plight of Nigerians, she said, pointing out that a singular decision will not only help in restoring our forests and in addressing some of our climate challenges, but will also facilitate the attainment of our nationally determined contributions, NDC, and other aspects of the Paris Agreement. Ikazo recalled that shortly after the increase in the prices of cooking gas in the country, millions of Nigerians could no longer afford the commodity and consequently resorted to firewood and charcoal as alternatives. We in the environment sector strongly support and believe that by making gas available and affordable, being the cleanest of the fossil fuels, Nigeria is now set towards cutting down on its carbon emissions drastically, she remarked. Following its recent foray into clean energy, which is now one of its strategic business units, Owando Energy Resources have appointed an environmentalist, Mrs. Nana Mede, into its board of directors. The energy solutions provider announced Mede's appointment in a statement issued on Sunday. The newly appointed environmentalist is expected to bring her expertise to bear in the company's clean energy strategy. Mede has served as a permanent secretary to the Federal Ministry of Environment, where she coordinated the formulation of the Nigerian intended Nationally Determined Contribution (NIDC) document on greenhouse gases in relation to climate change. Ugandan authorities have suspended mandatory COVID testing at the border with Kenya following huge truck queues disrupting fuel supplies across the country. The crisis led to panic buying and skyrocketing prices of petrol, with a minister warning traders not to take advantage of the shortages to cheat Ugandans. Meanwhile, in Kenya, there are traffic now up snaking as much as 70 kilometers from its border with Uganda. Syria official news agency has reported the smuggling of stolen Syrian oil by U.S. forces to Iraqi bases. The agency stated that the convoy was made up of 111 vehicles which crossed into Iraq via Al-Walid, an illegal border crossing in the countryside of Syria's northeastern province of Hasaka. Local sources stated that the convoy was escorted by 6 armored vehicles. Earlier this month, the U.S. convoy of 128 vehicles transferred military equipment and Syrian oil into northern Iraq. On December 30th last year, U.S. forces brought reinforcements from neighboring Iraq into areas in northeastern Syria. The report stated that American forces brought in generators, refrigerators, and a number of battle tanks through Al-Walid illegal border crossing between Iraq and Syria. And now let's have a quick look at the current status of oil prices in the global markets. Naira fell slightly against the US dollar at the official market on Monday after recording a marginal gain on Friday last week. According to the Central Bank of Nigeria, the local unit closed at 415 naira to a dollar on Monday. This implies a 0.11 naira or 0.3% devaluation from 414.89 naira per dollar it exchanged in the previous session on Friday last week. The currency traded within an intraday range of 414 naira and 414 naira 50 kobo before closing at 415 naira on the dot at the close of business on Monday. With this, Nigeria's naira has strengthened by 4.6% against the greenback currency at the official market in less than 3 weeks after recording an all-time low at the close of business on December 31st last year, when it closed at 435 naira to a dollar. Before we end the news, here's a recap of our headlines. NNPC barters 1.64 trillion naira crude for refined products in 8 months. Ikazo comments NLNG on new cooking gas policy. Uganda moves to ease border gridlock. And that's the news. I am Naomi Oleribe. Good evening.